Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hindu Explained series. I am Kushagra Goel. With regards to your comments, it is always a positive sign whenever students raise doubts or provide suggestions. And I do diligently go through all the comments every day, okay? Now with regards to certain suggestions that you have been putting in, we will be taking them up as and when those things are there. With regards to videos that or issues that we have covered here, but you haven't understood, don't worry. Whenever there is a new development or when we'll be taking up summary sessions with regards to the series, we will cover those issues then and there, okay? I have made a note of those issues, and don't worry, before your examination, a healthy time period before your examination, we will cover them all, okay? So don't worry about that. Now with regards to some doubts that the students had, right? One of them was with regards to the issue of Facebook and the lawsuits that have been filed and the Cambridge Analytica. There is an editorial with regards to that today also. We will discuss those issues there. Don't worry about that. Secondly, with regard to data point. Now, again, there is another data point that we will be discussing today. There I will tell you how you can understand data points and what is to remember from the data point for a CLAT candidate, okay? Or a law aspirant in general. Now, another doubt that students had was the term fiscal stimulus and fiscal deficit, okay? Fiscal means money, okay, the money that the government receives as its revenue. So whenever your parents or any of us pay taxes, for example, we went to Reliance Fresh or Big Bazaar or any other store and we bought certain goods, right? If you have ever checked the bill, there will be a certain amount of tax there, right? That tax is the revenue that the government gets. That revenue is called fiscal, okay? The fiscal money that the government gets. So the money that the government, when it spends that money, it is known as a fiscal stimulus, okay? For example, there is a distress sector, okay? The sector of textiles is suffering in comparison to competition from Bangladesh, okay? So the government decides to announce a new policy where it will provide easy loans or interest free loans to people who will buy manufacturing or textile facilities or equipments, okay? So then the government is spending its own money to push business of a certain sector. That is a fiscal stimulus, okay? When the government decides to spend, okay? What is a fiscal deficit? Fiscal deficit is when you are spending more than you actually have. So for example, you went to a restaurant, you had 1000 rupees in your pocket, but the bill that came was 1200. So then you are under a fiscal deficit, okay? The 200 rupees that you did not have in your pocket but actually consumed or spent, that is something known as a fiscal deficit. When the government spends more than it actually has, it is known as fiscal deficit. We calculate, or the governments calculate, fiscal deficit vis-a-vis the total GDP of a country, okay? So but unlike us, for example, an individual who goes to a restaurant, governments have some credibility because they can never disappear, right? The government of India or India as a country will not disappear, so people trust. So even if a country spends more than what it actually has, that is still all right because there is a trust that they will pay it back at a later point of time, okay? So that is the definition of fiscal stimulus and fiscal deficit. Now, let's dive into today's newspaper. The other doubts I will cover as and when with regards to things I've already explained, okay? Now, on the front page on the right hand side, there is news statement by our Defense Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, where he says that India's soft power is far more than India's hard power. Okay, what does soft power mean? Soft power means the psychological analysis. Okay, so India has provided the world with yoga. India has provided the world with Ayurveda. Okay, so those kinds of things, different religions, right? Aesthetic values that religion attach. Buddhism, that Jainism, Hinduism, a majority of Sufi saints are in India, based in India. A lot of missionary programs from Christianity are also based in India. So the impact that those organizations create, these ideas that have come out, Sikhism, those kinds of ideas or beliefs. So for example, the system of langar or free food for all whosoever wants to join, right? So those kinds of things, prasadi that a lot of temples give. So now those ideas are known as soft power, okay? So that is all that matters in this. Again, with regards to farmers' protest, the government is trying to break away from the unions and talk to certain leaders to break it. Those things, the protests are ongoing, nothing really update for us here, okay? On the right hand side, there is update that the food inflation and the consumer price index has fallen down to 6.93 from 7.61 in the month of October. So that is a monthly analysis of inflation which is falling because of stabilization of food prices. Yesterday's one editorial that we discussed was how the food prices are fluctuating too much and that costs farmers a lot. So this is a reflection that yes, that problem do exist and countries or Indian economy needs to do something about addressing that, okay? Then apart from that, there is nothing really relevant for us. I will not waste too much time because the idea of the series is to save time of you all, okay? If the videos get too long where we analyze what is the waste news, then it wastes a lot of time, okay? We'll be discussing this fungal infection here that has been causing a number of deaths post COVID recoveries, okay? So those are not counted as COVID deaths but deaths differently, but because of post COVID ailments, okay? So those things we'll be discussing. Apart from that, on the national front, there is nothing really relevant for us. On the editorial front, we'll be discussing this main editorial, which is firing a warning shot across to big tech companies, okay? Yesterday we had seen big tech companies, Facebook, Google, Amazon, Apple. So those are big tech companies, companies who are so big that their customer base is more than what could be a population of a particular country, right? The influence of those organizations. On the left hand side, green over brown is also an editorial we'll be discussing. It is an analysis of the national determined contributions of India vis-a-vis the Paris Agreement, okay? So we'll be discussing that. Then on the eastern disquiet battle between Trinamool and BJP, now that is something of a political analysis, not relevant from our point of view, okay? Again, convergence of agriculture, agrarian discontent in South Asia, okay? So this is an editorial analyzing that how numerous South Asian countries, even Pakistan, Sri Lanka and different places, the crisis in the agriculture sector is rising and number of protests are happening at different point of time. We know that farm protests are going on in India vis-a-vis. The editorial states that how most of the governments here think that reforming or liberalizing the agricultural sector, giving it to private or big corporations is a methodology to reform the sector. But there has been a backlash from the farmers because their interest is not at the heart of these reforms, okay? So that is something that needs to be keep in mind. Apart, no real academic point of view from this editorial, okay? Then on the op-ed page, on the left hand side, tax policy in trying times, okay? So this is an analysis of tax laws, of how they should be reformed in India because they are, most of them are archaic, okay? So that is something, it's suggestive policy, not really relevant from our point of view. Then India need to rethink nutritional agenda, okay? So this is an op-ed that is based on the National Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has released the 5th National Family Health Survey, okay? So since 1992 to 93, 5 health surveys have been done. What do these health surveys account? They account for population, age, nutritional needs and different social indicators of the population of India, okay? So the data point for that is what we'll be discussing today, okay? Apart from that, the editorial is talking about how and where things have improved and things have not improved, okay? So that is not something that is really relevant from your point of view. We'll just discuss the data point which would address most of the things, okay? Things that can actually factually be asked, okay? Otherwise, these are all comparative analysis, okay? On the left hand side, it is divided states of America. Now, the electoral college voting is about to take place. I had explained the entire electoral process from the day of voting to the actual inauguration of the new president. There we had discussed that the electoral college will finally vote, and that determines who gets to be the president. Okay, so Joe Biden is the president elect. He has a 306 electoral college votes. If you haven't seen that, we will put a description to that video in the description box today. Do check it out. Okay, then again, on the national front, there is not much news for us here. Okay, no real updates, nothing. It's just analyzing the protest from different point of views. Okay, then there is 1971 perpetrators not held accountable, Indian envoy. Okay, so in the conflict of 1971 war, prior to that, a genocide by the Pakistani armies had started taking place in March 1971. That was the catalyst of refugees from Bangladesh to India, which because of which India initiated war for liberation of Bangladesh. Okay, so that Memorial Day was celebrated yesterday to mark all the victims of the genocide. And the Indian envoy has stated that Pakistan should acknowledge its crimes and apologize for it. Okay, no such thing has been done by Pakistan yet. Okay. Now then, Foreign Secretary of Britain is on a visit for 4 days in India. So what do we see here? All you need to know as of now is that, see, who is the Foreign Secretary of India? Foreign Secretary of United Kingdom, and why is he coming? So he's coming to iron out certain details because Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of United Kingdom, is the guest invite for the Republic Day parade. Okay, no confirmation of that has yet come in, but the suggestion is that this will iron out. Once more details of what has actually been achieved in this visit, then it makes much sense to discuss all of that. Okay. We'll be discussing stealth frigate Himkiri and the entire program of Project 70A. Okay, so don't worry about that. Now, here is an update with regards to the MPLADS scheme. Okay, where the government has suspended the scheme for the next 2 years, but the Member of Parliament have been asking for release of funds for schemes approved prior to the pandemic. Okay, so that is an updating news. You need to keep in mind the MPLADS scheme and what it is about. Okay, now moving on, again on the sporting front and on the international level, there is not much update for us here. Okay, there is a death of an author who was a former British spy. You can just keep the name in mind, John Le Carre, whose original name was John David Cornwell. Okay. Then the first vaccine in US was given to a New York nurse, and the Pfizer vaccine, as you know, we had discussed it yesterday, that the rollout of the vaccine is now in full flow. Okay. Apart from that, again on the left hand side, update for US electoral college vote and how nothing really relevant from here, nothing new. Okay, on the economic front, again there is fuel demand of petrol has been falling on year. Fuel as a consideration of economics is relevant because it tells us when you are demanding more fuel, that means that you are either expanding your production or there is new consumers in the market, which drives growth. A fall in that tells us that how that could be, or a reflection of how economy has contracted or is slowing down. Okay, then Air India, government has been planning to disinvest in Air India, and yesterday was the closure of bids of expression of interest of whosoever wants to participate in the auction for sale of Air India. Okay, once that is there, it makes more sense to discuss this entire issue of disinvestment in Air India in general. Okay, as of now, it's a public sector undertaking and has been running in losses, has lost from its pre-eminent position of up to 70% market share to now less than 10%. Okay. On the sporting front, the Border Gavaskar Trophy series between India and Australia is about to begin. There has been a passing away of an ex-Liverpool manager, Gerard Hoyler. Okay, he had won the UEFA Cup, FA Cup, and the League Cup with Liverpool. It's a football club in 2001. Okay, now let's dive into the in-depth analysis. So the most important news on the national front is the passing away of Rodam Narasimha. Okay, Rodam Narasimha was an eminent scientist, and I have listed down certain achievements of him and why he was so relevant. Okay, so India, as you know, scientific value of an individual becomes, and their contributions cannot be quantified in the number of awards they actually won, but how they impart and create more knowledge for a lot of people. Okay, so his field of aeronautics and science and technology is something, internet of things, that becomes really important. So Rodam Narasimha was a winner of Padma Vibhushan, which is the second most important civilian prize in 2013, and had won the Padma Bhushan in 1987. Okay, plus he was the director of National Aeronautic Laboratories from 1984 to 1993, and from 2000 to 2014 he was the chairman of Jawaharlal Nehru uh, Scientific Research Center, okay, Aeronautic Scientific Research Center, and along with that, he was the chair professor of Pratt and Whitney at the University of Hyderabad. Okay, that's a position that is given to an individual. Aeronautics, flying. It's a field of sciences that discovers of how you can efficiently fly aeronautics. Okay, he was a fellow of the Royal Society and a fellow of U.S. National uh, Society for Engineering and Aeronautics Society. Okay, then he had won the Bhatnagar Prize, which is a scientific prize given in India. Plus, he was a member of fellow of the Aeronautical Society of India and had won a lifetime award at the second Science and Technology Congress. Okay, so these are some achievements of him. Plus, he was also a member of the Space Commission consultative group of eminent senior scientists, okay, which is a group of scientists that assist or advise the government of India. And secondly, he was also a member of the Bureau of International Union of Theoretical and Applied Mechanics. Okay, so these are his achievements. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also tweeted about him passing away. So it tells you how important a personality was. Okay, so his contributions, his name, and the awards that he won. So it is a section of person in news for all of you. Okay, so his achievements here are something that you need to keep in mind. Moving on to the next news is a new fungal infection which has caused death or disfigurement of a lot of post-COVID recoveries. Okay, what is that? It is mucormycosis. Okay, it is also known as black fungus, by which you can understand that it is a fungal infection. Okay, under this the symptoms are drying of nose, swelling under your eyes, and it can lead to permanent disfigurement or even death. Okay, so a lot of deaths have taken place because of this. So here under your COVID section, you can keep that. See, this is a fungal infection that takes place post COVID. Okay, so diseases that can happen post COVID, a lot of people have suffered from breathing ailments or weakening lungs, and this is also a risk that you have. So how can you infect this disease if post COVID recovery you are around damp areas? Okay, damp areas or surrounding where there is moisture. Okay, and the symptoms of the disease are something also that you need to keep in mind: swelling under your eyes and drying nose. Okay, the name of the disease and who causes it, which is a fungal infection. Okay, the prevention of the disease, or to prevent it from happening to post COVID ailment, is most suggested by the ICMR and other doctors, is that you have to increase your immunity after you have recovered from COVID. Eat foods that help you recover your immunity at a faster pace, and avoid going to places which have higher pollution level, or going to places which is not clean in general. Okay, moving on is the update with regards to stealth frigate. Okay, what is a stealth frigate? Okay, a stealth frigate is a shipping type between a destroyer, a less than a destroyer. Okay, now stealth means that they are harder to track by radar systems. Okay, now what is this news? This is a news of the first within the 3 stealth frigates that will be manufactured and built in India. The first one which is being named as Himgiri, okay, INS Himgiri. Who has built it? Garden and Reach Shipbuilders Engineers, GRSE at Kolkata, okay. The other two are also simultaneously being built at the Masgaon docks in Mumbai, okay. The next information with regards to this is under what project are they being built, which is named as Project 17A, okay. 3 will be built here under Project 70A. Who is the international partner for providing know-how for this? Is Fincantieri, Italy, okay. Fincantieri, Fincantieri, Italy, okay. They are the know-how international partner. Now, the first stealth frigates in India were built under the Shivalik class, okay. So there are different classifications of stealth frigates that are in India: Shivalik class, Tarpura class, Brahmaputra class, okay. But the first becomes important because, see, you can't keep on remembering all the frigates that exist in India. What becomes relevant is what is in the news, who has done it, and what was the first one. The first was Shivalik class, and INS Shivalik, which is still in commission, was the first ship under stealth frigate to be built, okay. Then apart from that, there is another update within this, okay, which is first and the last of offshore patrol vessels in the series Saksham, okay. So patrol vessels are different, which are used by Coast Guard, okay. They are used for patrolling the sea borders of India, and within that, the series Saksham, there were 5 to be built, and the last one has been delivered from a built at Goa shipyard, okay. So that is an update that you also need to keep in mind. Stealth frigate's name and who built it, where it was built, who is the international partner. Remember, in CLAT 2020 the question for Rafale came, and the questions were what were the instruments that were there, different, who was the knowledge partner, who assisted, where did we buy it from. So that is why these details become equally important for you all to keep in mind. Now, moving on to the data point, okay. So what the data point today tracks 4 important things. What are they? Anemia, wasted, underweighting, and stunted, okay. What is the National Health Family Survey? This is the 5th National Health Family Survey. The timeline of the first 4 was from 1992 to 93, second was 98 to 99, 2005 to 2006, and 2015 to 16 was the last one, which was National Health Family Survey 4, okay. So the data point tracks the last 2 family surveys and how have states done better than the previous times, okay. But before we do that, different definitions are something that you need to keep in mind. What does anemia mean? That in constituent of your blood, you have lower red blood cells, okay. The second is child wasting. Wasting happens when your body parts or muscles become weaker or degrade then they should, right? With age, it is natural that muscles will disintegrate or degrade in general, or your level of strength will decrease. But when it happens before that time period, that means there is wasting in your body, okay. That during your formative years, you did not consume enough nutrition for you to protect yourself from such degradation, okay. Then what does stunting mean? Stunting means impaired growth, that is height to age ratio. There is a certain standard scale, okay, which states that how much, at what age, what should be an ideal height of a child, okay. So if your height is 2 times less than what the scale says, then you can say that your growth is stunted. Underweight is also measured, as you can understand, lower weight than what should be your standard weight, okay. So this data point today analyzes the top big states, okay. So the names of those states are Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, Telangana, and West Bengal, okay. So they are the 10 big states that are analyzed in the survey. In the survey in toto, there were 22 states and union territories that were analyzed. Not every state published their data, okay. The data point tells us that which is the state that is least anemic, okay. Children with people with least amount of anemia, that is Kerala. and Gujarat has the highest amount of anemic people, okay, people with lower red blood cells. Then on child wasting, Kerala has least number of wasted people, Maharashtra has most wasted people, okay. Then on underweight, Kerala again is the best on health indicators, Bihar is the most underweight. And on stunting, again Kerala is the best on human indicators and Bihar is the most, okay. Now how do you understand data points, okay? You have to track different things on the graph, okay. There you have to see what state falls at what category. Reading a graph is very simple, okay. There is a x-axis, there is a y-axis, okay. On those two axes there is different information. So here on anemia different states are tracked and line is given, okay. So the percentage of people who are on that particular state here is what is given. That the blue here indicates 2015-16, the red is 19-20 and the grey is 2005 and 6. So for example Assam, okay, Assam in 2015-16 was doing better, okay. On 30, its number of anemic people was less than 40. But again, after in 5 years time that has degraded to the level it had in 2005 and 6. That is how you can mark every state here as to who has done better. Most of the states have done worse than what they did in the family survey 4 is what we can see, that the number of people hungry in India has increased from 2015-16 to 2019-20, okay. So that is a warning sign for the government and public policy individual planners in general that the number of hungry people in India is increasing. If you are hungry today, then you are less productive tomorrow, and that is why this is tracked on a timely basis year on year, okay. Now moving on to the next news, which is the editorial, okay. The second editorial on the left hand side was green over brown. Now within that, what is the most important thing is what are the nationally determined contributions of India. What has India pledged under the 2015 Paris Agreement? India has pledged that by 2030 the number of emission level of India by carbon, the carbon emission levels of India will be 33 to 35% less than what they existed in 2005. So if in 2005 India's emission level was 120 per person, they have to be 30 to 35% less than that, okay, by 2030. So that is the first NDC of India. The second one is that by 2030 India's total power capacity, 40% of that will be by non-renewable energy sources, okay. So solar, wind, hydro, nuclear, all of that would have to constitute 40% of the power consumption. The third promise of India is to create additional carbon sink, okay. How do you create carbon sink? What level of carbon sink has to India create? 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon sink. How do you do that? By additional forest and afforestation, okay. Plant more trees. So it is not just the responsibility of Indian government but of all of us to help India reach this goal, because only then will we be able to reduce the heating of earth up to 2 to 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius, okay. Because if the earth heats up more than this, then it will be catastrophic for food production, for healthy living, for healthy air, and for all of that this is India's growth goals, okay, for which we have to help the government also. The second thing important from CLAT perspective is the emissions gap report. Who publishes the emissions gap report? Which is United Nations Environment Program. That is the second information that you need to know from this editorial. Why is the emission gap report produced? It tracks the amount of emissions and your target, okay, whether you will be able to reach your target. Yesterday there was at the Climate Action Summit, Prime Minister Modi had stated, India is well ahead of its goal. That at this point of time, we have already reduced our emission levels by 21% of what they used to be at 2005, okay? And our goal is to reach 33. So his aim is that in 10 years, we'll be able to do far better than what we have pledged, okay? Emission gap reports tracks this, that whether countries are doing enough. And the G20 members, okay, they constitute 78% of the emissions of the world, of which India is a part of, okay? So that is why this becomes important, the goals that India has set for itself and the emission gap report, who publishes it, okay, and what does it track. This entire thing is part of your climate change heading for general knowledge. Keep making notes under this heading. Any updates that come that I talk about have to go within that, okay? Don't put it on separate pages about editorials. Put one broad heading. Under that, new updates have to be kept, okay? Then the last thing, okay? Now, for understanding the editorial and big tech, I have a suggestion for you. There are two documentaries on Netflix, okay? Netflix is a streaming platform. There are two documentaries that you should watch, okay? The idea is, first of them is The Great Hack, okay? This Great Hack documentary, an hour long, 1 hour, okay? It tells you the scandal of Cambridge Analytica in 2015-16. What was this? How big techs were abusing your data. And the second is Social Dilemma. The Social Dilemma documentary also tells you what do these big tech companies do to violate your privacy and data protection, okay? Only then you will be able to understand what these concepts are, okay? If you have watched this, then the most important crux from all of this that is happening in US and why big tech companies need to be reined in or controlled or regulated is because they affect your privacy and data protection, which are your constitutional rights, fundamental rights under Article 21, which was held so in the case of retired Justice Puttaswamy versus Union of India, okay? So in that case, Article 21 constitutes right to privacy. And how do these companies violate your right to privacy? I highly recommend that you watch these two documentaries. And once you're done that, you would be able to understand what is written in this editorial. The editorial is basically telling us how these companies, different companies, are violating privacy law, how they are affecting generally data protection. And the conclusion of the editorial is that India does not have a privacy law or a data protection law. Both those laws are in draft and have not yet been passed. Unless those are not passed, these big tech companies have full freedom to exploit whatever they want to, okay? So the lawsuits under competition law or generally by courts is to regulate these companies, to ensure they do not violate your rights. Because see, these companies only care about the money they make or the value of their shareholdings, okay? And that is why they use or abuse the law to maximize their profits. And hence, I highly recommend you watch these documentaries, and we will be covering this entire issue of privacy all over again, don't worry. But watch these two, most of it will become clear by that only, okay? So that is it from me today. Thank you so much. Keep revising, keep making notes properly, and that is the only key to understand and remember current affairs generally for your examinations, okay? Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. We really appreciate your love, and share it further. And if you are one of those who haven't subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to it. Thank you.